In addition to serving on ALTA's board, Bill serves on many committees, including Government Affairs, Best Practices, and Informational Security. He earned the ALTA's National Title Professional designation in 2017 and was awarded the California Land Title Association's President's Award in 2010 and 2016 for outstanding contribution to the California title insurance industry. Bill, we are pleased to have you join us today. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage. Thank you.
Very, very kind of you. You know, it's interesting. As I try to get this off there. Nope, doesn't seem to want to go. That's fine. Your convention has a real reputation, and I think you can say that any which way you want, but or look at that any which way you want. But you have the reputation of being the gold standard of conventions, and when there are times of conflict between one convention and another convention, I can tell you that nobody ever passes up Oklahoma, which is why I've done 3 Californias. But you have such a reputation for just the hospitality and kindness, and everybody that is ALTA president wants to do Oklahoma. So I feel very honored to be here, and I thank you. And boy, have you guys lived up to your reputation while I'm here. So thank you for that. Wanted to start with, I have been to Tulsa one time in my life before this trip. And just give you a quick background. I played junior tennis, was nationally ranked, and I came to Tulsa to play a tournament. And I was here for 4 days, and I got dropped off. I was staying at a family with a friend of mine, a family here in Tulsa. And so I was staying with them. I had an 8 o'clock match, and both my friend and I found a way to lose our matches by 8:30. We were both out. The lady who took us to the match hadn't even finished breakfast yet. And we walked up and, well, time to go home. So they go, well, you've got 4 days here. What are you going to do? I go, well, what do we do for Tulsa in 4 days? And she said, well, we belong to Southern Hills Country Club. Do you want to go play some golf? 36 holes a day for 4 days. Never been happier to lose a match in my entire life. All right, going through, there we go, or the PowerPoint. I am going to be, by the way, just so you know, probably the worst PowerPoint user on the planet. I don't like PowerPoint, but it's made up, so I do use it. But I want to talk about what we're doing at ALTA, and also whatever questions you have for me. I'm here to answer them either, there you go, either today or tomorrow while I'm here. We have a few things that we're spending an awful lot of time on. Number one is advocacy. That is the first and foremost thing that we do. This is an interesting time politically, as you may have heard on TV. And we have some bills that are pending before Congress that are really important. And I'd like to just start in on them if I could. Number one is the Secure Act. And we're pushing the Secure Act as much as we possibly can. The Secure Act is a multi-state or a national solution to RON, Remote Online Notary. Right now, we have 34 states that have some type of RON statute. 34 different statutes, 34 different interpretations, and the banks just aren't going to use them because they can't afford to have a portfolio out there with different variations of the remote online notarization. It just isn't going to happen. So the only way this is going to happen is if we, as an industry, get together and have remote online notarization. We are within a coalition of very large companies or very large groups such as NAR, MBA, et cetera, pushing this bill. We have bipartisan support on it, which is very unusual. It's been fun being able to have discussions with some of the, there we go. Having discussions, no, here we don't go. Hey, there. Yeah, my kids somewhere are laughing about my technology skills. We have a ton of people who are wanting to sign on to the bill, and we're saying no to them. We want their vote, but we don't necessarily want them on as a co-signer because they tend to be on the very far left or very far right. We're trying to make this a mainstream bill, and so far we've gotten both Republicans and Democrats, predominantly moderates, to sign on to the bill, and we have an indication that that the administration will end up signing. So that is something that we're really pushing on remote online notarizations. Now, there are two entities that are opposing Ron. One is the Secretaries of State. Each individual Secretary of State, a group of them, a coalition of them, have got together and are opposing it because it takes the realm of the remote online notary and the notarization process away from the states and gives it to the federal government. We're never going to have a true digital closing until this occurs or something like this occurs. The other group that we're getting a lot of pushback from is the California Independent Escrow Association. They believe that Ron's going to take away from their ability to service their clients. I honestly believe it's going to do just the opposite, and I've had conversations with them this week that I think that the actual notarization and signing of the operative documents really is the least profitable and most time-consuming part of the settlement process. And if we can get people, especially with the work that we all have today, which is, who could have ever seen this? A pandemic and a huge increase in business all at the same time. We're trying to see if we can utilize the time a little bit better so that the professionals are able to do the more difficult things, and then the signing gets done on a remote basis. Now, that can be done through your staff, or it can be done through a notary farm, and that would be up to you to decide. But that's what we're pushing right now, and we think that we have a really good shot of getting the Secure Act passed this year. Most everybody else is in favor of it. All the attorneys are in favor of it because they're allowed to do such things as wills and trusts and things like that on remote online notary. Both of my kids in the last year have closed houses, which they are millennials, and they're very much into housing, and can't understand where they got that from. But they both said the same thing, is that they thought the process of buying a home was just simply barbaric and behind the times. My daughter specifically said, "Why can't I just do all this on my phone?" And I didn't have a great answer for her. I said, that'll happen someday, but we're not there today. And she had to drive 45 minutes in DC traffic to do that and to buy her home. But we're getting a lot of push from the millennials, we're getting a lot of push from the tech companies, and we're getting a lot of push from other organizations that want to see a true digital closing. So we have, it's been introduced in both the House and the Senate, true bipartisan. We have lined up about 35, 36 co-signers in the Senate, and literally 18 Republicans and 18 Democrats. We're only going to do this on a bipartisan basis. And I think it's going to make a big difference. The other thing, too, is what this does is set up minimum standards for online notaries, so that if a state wants to have greater protection they can have greater protection. If they want to do something different, they can do something different as long as it does not go against what the federal minimum standards are. So if states want to do something slightly different, they can as long as they meet the minimum standards. Because there's some states, for example, that don't have dual factor authentication. Well, I think that's a baseline that you have to have. And so that is in the Secure Act. So we're working on that very diligently, and it's probably our number one priority, so that we can move toward that into the future. The other one we have going is the SAFE Act, which is a cannabis bill that just allows banking money from cannabis transactions to be put into federal banks, and so that they can then monitor that money and look for money laundering and things like that. So we're trying to work on that as a second priority. And then the other thing we are working on is 1031s. We are throwing ourselves in front of that bus to try to stop the change in 1031s that is being proposed by the administration. We were able to be successful a couple of years ago when the Trump administration tried to put the kibosh on 1031s. This one might be a little bit more difficult. I don't know. But we're gonna work to make sure that 1031s are here to stay. The economic information that we have is absolutely outstanding. 1031s are a benefit to the American consumer. They are a benefit to the real estate market. They are a positive, and we just have to show it. Some of the people we have gone to trying to get their vote unsuccessfully have said it is just millionaires and billionaires trying to shield their wealth. Well, just let me get a guess. Somebody out here, what is the average amount of a 1031 tax-deferred exchange? Somebody must have a guess. Well, wow, okay, I usually go the other direction. It's actually 500,000. I usually hear like 3 million or 4 million. That's just not the case. It is people in 250, 400. Those are the dollar values that you see. And so the concept of this just supports the hyper wealthy is just not an accurate interpretation. But we may end up seeing something out there which will be a compromise. And that's not going to surprise me, where it would be maybe 1.5 million would be a cap on 1031s, or 2 million, or 4 million. Whatever that number happens to be, that may be what ends up compromising, but we're not ready to go to that position yet. We think that 1031 should be there for everyone. The other thing we're talking about is that in the event that we do have an artificial cap on 1031s, then we have exemptions for family farms and have exemptions for small businesses, so that you don't have a situation where if you have, let's say, for example, your family has been in a farm, but the area is growing out, and the farmland's becoming more expensive, and then there are certain instances where taxes raised dramatically, allowing a family farm to then move to another place. We understand that, and we appreciate it, and it is right up on our main agenda to make sure that family farms and small businesses are taken care of. That's really important. We're also working on tax policy. We're working to bring back some things within the tax policy. And again, it's maybe a Californian, it's a little bit closer to my heart. But the SALT tax, where you can actually deduct your state and local taxes from your tax bill, not have an artificial cap on it. We're working to level that playing field out as well. So those are the things that we're working on in advocacy, and they're all important. This is going to be a critical year, to say the least. And we want to make sure that we are at the table. And that's what's really nice about ALTA, is year after year, we are more and more and more at the table. When we started advocacy, we would literally go to Congress, and Mark can, I'm sure, remember these days. We would go to Congress, and we would end up getting a staffer, and it's like, so, what do you do? And they had no idea what title insurance was. They had no idea what we did, how we did it, and how we are part of the transaction. Nobody had a clue. We, over the years, have been able to get a position within Congress and within the White House of actually being industry experts. It was really nice. They know what we do. They call us now, which is great. We're getting this information from this group, getting information from this group. We always find ALTA to be the best middle ground and a neutral third party on these types of bills, and tell us your feeling about them. What are we missing here? Well, talk about an industry well suited to be a neutral third party. I mean, this is what we do for a living every day. And that's the way they look at us now. They look at us as the voice of reason. The things that could go bad in real estate and the things that are good in real estate. And they listen to us. And so when we go to Congress now, we're able to get them to listen, and we're able to align ourselves with varying groups, and they come to us with questions. And we're getting the members of Congress. 2 years ago, pre-pandemic, a couple of us got called into the White House, and we met with Secretary Mnuchin of Treasury in the White House, and with the Vice President and Secretary of Treasury. That wouldn't have happened a few years ago. They called us in. They specifically wanted to ask us questions, and we testified. So people are listening to what we're saying, and it's been a long runway for us to get there, but we're getting there today. So we have told our story very, very well and advocated very, very well to Congress. And now every time Congress turns over, we've got to start a little bit all over again, but certainly not from scratch again. The other thing we've done is we are with the GSEs on a very regular basis. 2 to 3 years ago, we got a call from the GSEs, Fannie and Freddie and FHFA, saying that somebody had come in and done a presentation that said that the title industry could do everything that they do on a transaction, and they had the software and algorithms to do what we do in 8 seconds, and for a lower price. So we sat there with them for a week and walked them through what you do, and they were stunned. Title insurance is not simply the insurance of title, but it's the clearance of. It is the settlement process. It is all the things that you do as title professionals every day. They did not understand that. And the company, these quote-unquote disruptor company, they did not mention one time anything that you all did. They basically were running some programs for short-form refinances, and then we're saying that we can do the same program for resale, and then if the person had to move out, then we would just pay them out. And even though the person would have to leave the house, imagine how much money we can save the consumer. Well, that's just not what we do. And so the education level that we've had with the GSEs has been spectacular. We have a tremendous relationship with them. And what do they do when they have questions? They pick up the phone and call. And so we have been able to do that. During a time of COVID, we have been able to do that, and it has been absolutely outstanding. And so we have been able to tell our story to them, and they get it. And again, who do they come to when they have questions? They come to us. One of the other things that we have done, we are part of the Coalition to Combat Wire Fraud. I told you I'm terrible with the slides, so you'll see some slides later on, but we'll skip through those quickly. We're part of the Coalition to Combat Wire Fraud, and what we've done as ALTA is we've put together, and we were the key part and the linchpin of putting together varying groups, and now we have the bankers, the realtors, we have a large group, and we actually have a seat at the table to talk about wire fraud issues. And we have had, as you know, major wire fraud problems. It is anticipated that 1 out of every 3 transactions, someone at least attempts to steal the money. Maybe a little more than that, but 1 out of 3 is probably the number, or pretty darn close to it. So look at how many transactions that are out there. And again, we're part of that wire fraud coalition. And we believe that we can do some better things. The industry has done an amazing job of closing out the wire fraud. Once upon a time, the title companies are the ones that were attacked. We did an amazing job as an industry. You know, quite frankly, whenever I've never seen an industry that steps up to the plate as much as this industry steps up to the plate. When it was wire fraud, what did our industry do? We put in best practices. We had some changes in our procedures. We really stopped the hackers from coming after us on the whole. And so we're not the party that's attacked anymore. Just like, you know, and just stream of thought, what kind of industry for what we did in COVID was just beyond striking. And so when there's something that is catastrophic that is on its way, this industry is a leader. And even going back a little bit further, when we did TRID, what industry stepped up and taught everyone else in the transaction on how to do the transaction and what it was going to look like? Our industry steps up and steps up every time when there's something major. And it's something that is incredibly amazing to me, and I'm very proud to be part of the industry. But we're seeing now, the frauds now are coming from open platforms that realtors and the consumers have. Many times the fraud occurs prior to the title company even being involved. So we're working on ways to stop that. And a lot of times it's, it's the consumer that is making a bad mistake. I've had one recently where a gentleman came into one of our offices, and we gave him a piece of paper to sign and told him, we will never send you wire instructions by email. It just will not happen. We will send it. This is how we're going to send it. This is what we're going to do. And he said, yeah, I got it. I won't do that. And so we signed it. And later on that day, he wired out $1.5 million out of his account, and that money is gone. From the time we told him and he was in our office to the time he sent the wire was 8 minutes. 8. I'd like to think at least 15 minutes to give him a little bit of time to soak up the information. But he did it in 8 minutes, and the money was gone. And it took him, we didn't know that the money had been sent until it was time of closing. And then he shows up at our office, and he goes, well, where's my $1.5 million? And I go, we sent you wire instructions, but here's how we sent them, and here's what we did. And he goes, well, when I saw those, I had already wired the money, so I figured it really wasn't a big deal. By that time, the money was done. So it tends to be much more now in the consumer range than it is in the title company, because the hackers will go after the path of least resistance, and we're not it. We're not it. So we have done a phenomenal job on that, and we have done a great job on fraud and anti-fraud measures, and we need to continue to do more, and we will continue to do more. And for those people, and when I'm up here, I tend to talk much more to agents. than underwriters being an agent. I feel your pain at times, believe me. But one of the things that we're working on is there's a lot of phenomenal technology out there. Use it. There is great technology. And if you get on the ALTA marketplace, then there is a whole litany of varying technologies that are on the ALTA marketplace that you do not have to take the time to go and research. They've already been vetted, and you can pick what you want to use and what you don't want to use and what's good for you. And if you're a small agent, whether that technology is scalable, and if you're a large agent, whether it's scalable up for you. So the technology is there and the information is there, and I would just recommend using it. That's what it's there for. I put that in a year and some ago before I became president because it's something I've been wanting to push. It's not fair that all agents do not have access to all the varying technologies that are out there. We have made sure that on ALTA Marketplace, it's alta.org/marketplace, so it's not a super complicated website. But it is a really good place to get information. And the other thing I would recommend for you, if you're not on it, how many people here are members of TAN? Most, good. For those of you who are not, it's free. It's 30 seconds out of your life. We will not be sending you an awful lot of emails, only when it's important. We're sending one out the next day or so, which is a state issue, but it is affecting people around the country, and that's fraud on reverse mortgages. We have seen a huge spike in reverse mortgage fraud, and that is because the largest reverse mortgage servicer, a company called Novad, was hacked. And so they've been sending out perfectly valid payoff statements, and they've been being paid. These are the types of information that you'll get if you join TAN. And again, read it, don't read it, but it's going to be there in your inbox. And you can take as much of that or as little of that as you want. And what's really insidious about this type of fraud is that with a reverse mortgage, you never know if there's going to be, or if there's a default, because if they've already taken all the money out of the reverse mortgage, then there's no default. And so it can sit 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years, and you'll never know that there is a default out there. And so the thieves do not care if they get 20 minutes or 2 days, but boy, it's pretty easy when they get 2 years or 3 years. And that's what's been happening. They've been into the Novad system for quite some time. And so they have a special program right now with HUD, and I've been working with HUD investigators on trying to make sure that we get that information out to people. So I'm always making sure to include it into my presentation, and I know that is the really great, fun part of the presentation. It's tough when you come in right after the comedian, by the way. Yes, all these jokes, and she puts up some great stuff, and then it's like you talk about reverse mortgage fraud. Always lightens up a room. The other thing I would recommend is, how many of you are in the ALTA registry? Good. I won't bother you with that, but if you're not in the ALTA registry, I would advise you to get on it. It's simple, easy, free. We have about 50 to 60% of agents that are on it. That's not good enough. That's just not good enough. We need to get better. And what it does, it verifies with the underwriters that you actually have a valid underwriting contract. And we had a transaction fairly recently. We've had a couple transactions really very recently where we were declined. They declined to fund to us because they weren't sure that we are actually an agent of that particular underwriter. And then we had to work with that underwriter to get us and make sure we were on the ALTA registry with them, and we were able to get the deal closed. But it makes an agent look somewhat foolish when it's not on there, and so please make sure to make sure you get on the registry. Again, does not take long, and if it happens on one transaction or two transactions, and it makes that transaction go through, then the 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes that it took to fill out that information is entirely worth it, as opposed to panicking on a transaction where it is on the 11th hour, and you got to make sure that you just get it done ahead of time. So that is really important. Finally, before I get to some of the more fluff stuff on the presentation, I want to make sure that you all know what's coming out this year. We have the most robust rewrite of the forms that have happened in the last 14 years. A part of it was McGirt, but that was only the start. That was what got us to say it's time to look at things again. So we have a whole new set that just went out. If you have free time or insomnia or feel free to, they're posted. It's out for public comment right now. So read whatever forms you want. We have a whole bunch of new forms clarifying. The Forms Committee at ALTA is absolutely nothing short of spectacular. I will tell you that I tried to get into those meetings, especially the Zoom meetings that we've had over the last year while the Forms Committee has been working on this. And I think my average stay on the call is between 8 to 10 minutes. That's way over my head when it comes to where the periods go, where the commas go, how it affects everything. And these guys just love this stuff. And they eat it up, and they will discuss that stuff into the absolute, into infinity. And I am thankful for the job that they've done. And we've been able to get those out. And our public comment period ends right about at ALTA 1. And if there's no major changes, we will put those up for 2022. And so we will have a whole bunch of new forms and some major changes to the policy. Again, it's the largest rewrite we've had in 14 years. So for the software companies, sorry, but you got a lot of work to do. So moving on, unless there's some questions, I'll move on to the rest of this. And so what do we do? What besides? And I've basically stuck on the first bullet point. We do provide information. We do have a lot of information out there. I certainly would recommend getting onto our website if you're an ALTA member. We have a lot of education and information. The most downloaded thing that we've had in the last couple years is the wire fraud emergency response plan. That is the most downloaded thing that we have had. And what that does, it provides a game plan in the event that there is a breach and in the event that there is money gone and stolen out of someone's account, whether it's yours or your consumer. How many of you have looked at the ALTA response plan? Good. Well, that's great. That's terrific. And for those of you who don't, we actually put this outside of our ALTA page. We put this in the public comment area, in the public area. It is so important that we don't even worry about whether you're an ALTA member or not to get it. So we want everyone to get it. If you don't have it, please go and do that. Just ask a question out here. What is the first thing that happens when you have a wire fraud problem? What is the first thing that you do? What's that? Panic attack. Absolutely true. And what's the one thing when you have a panic attack that you don't do well? think. So the whole point of this and putting this together was that we want to make sure when there is a problem, we want to take thinking out of the equation. We want you to have a game plan that you can follow from square one, and that, okay, I can do this, I've done this, I've done this. And it's just a simple series of check boxes that you can follow. Okay, I need to contact IC3. Here's the number. I need to contact this thing. Here's the number. And so we have been able to do that within it. And I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten calls from agents around the country that have used the rapid response plan and they've been able to get their money back. We've used it in our company. We've had several misadventures, shall we say. But except for twice, we've been able to get the money back. So we follow it. It's very cold and calculating. And if you don't use it, I'd recommend that you do use it. But we also have a lot of other education. I mean, we have 36 different committees out there. So if you would like education or you want to participate or you want to learn about something, join. We're happy to have you. And if you join this year, at least before October, call me because I'm the one that appoints everybody to the committee. So all you need to say is Oklahoma Land Title and I'll get you on. And obviously networking, we're finally getting back to. And then obviously we've been creating the professional standards. I was very proud to receive my NTP. I'm sure everybody in this room could get it if they put their time to it without question. But it is something that it's nice to have, and it certainly gives you credibility when you go into certain places. Okay. These are our priorities. This is what each president does each year, and ours are tell our story, which is contact Congress, contact GSEs, and contact consumers. I'm going to be showing a short video in a minute. And then promote digital closings, and then develop and retain talent. Anybody that wants to get on the talent committee, that would be outstanding. It is definitely the thing we're having the hardest time with. I tried to get both my kids into land title business. My son, he was going to take this one territory over when this other person retired, and my son refused to go, and my daughter refused to, and they both said the same thing. It's like, where we live, we have a lot of land title professionals around us, and I grew up with those kids, and it truly is, as they call it, the Hotel California. Once you check out, you can never leave. And that's what they said. The guys that are in stay in for life, and they just didn't want to make a decision on their entire livelihood for the rest of their lives. So my daughter's doing nonprofit, and she's finally coming around to maybe it's time not to do nonprofit anymore. Because profit is a good thing. But developing and getting talent and getting millennials in is definitely something that we're working on. And we have 2 committees that do that. And anything that you want and to be involved in and learn from those calls are pretty good, because people come up with some pretty outstanding ideas. And if you added one outstanding idea, that would even be better. So again, this is telling our story, and this is a public awareness campaign. And this is what we're trying to do to consumers. Consumers don't understand what we do. They just don't. And so I remember being on, where was I going? It was somewhere in Florida. And I was on a lift. And the driver asked me, what do you do? And I told him I was in the title insurance industry. And he says, I have bought and sold houses. My parents buy and sell houses. I don't see what you guys do, because every transaction goes so smoothly. And I said, we do. I said, that what you just told me is exactly what we do. We should be that invisible. But he goes, yeah, but we don't really know what you do, because everything is done, everything is tabbed, everything is ready to go, and we've never had a problem. And he goes, I'm trying to get in now with my parents and take over their business. And so the next cab driver, I had asked me the same question. Somewhat different answer. He screamed at me for half an hour on how bad his closing went, like I did it. He knew chapter and verse what company it was, what who his escrow officer was, how it was screwed up, how it cost him, and everything. So it is funny because we need to communicate with the consumer more to tell them what it is that we do, so they come in with the expectation level of here's what's going to happen, here's what we do, here's how we protect you, and understand this is the value that you're getting for your money. So this is the campaign we got, and I am proud to tell you that with this campaign we received 2 Tully Awards this week for advertising excellence for a new campaign, which is amazing. The group that we're working with to put this together has gotten rave reviews. We've gotten a lot of publicity on it, and we won 2 awards on our first year of our campaign out. And I don't know about you guys, but it's like on Facebook, as I seem to get one about every 3rd day of an ad campaign. And the one I found a little bit funny, though, and a little bit ironic, was I was on Facebook and I got an ad for Home Title Lock. And then and I will spare you my opinion on that, but I think you can probably figure it out. But it came right after that came one of our ads. So I thought that was interesting, back to back on what 2 different groups are doing. And so these are just things that we flash on occasion, predominantly in social media. I'm not trying to leave that one up just because I'm on it. There we go. And I'd like to show you this quickly, if I am able to do so.
I am an offensive lineman.
And a defensive lineman.
Private detective.
Bloodhound.
Bodyguard.
Goalie.
Problem eliminator.
Protector of the American dream.
I am a land title professional. We have lots of titles, but our most important title is protection.
We're your best defense and best offense for purchasing a new home.
We are the neutral third parties who represent both the sellers and buyers.
We are 70% female and proud of it.
So that when your name is on the deed, you're the only person who can claim that property is yours.
To get there, we do a lot of homework.
When everything's clear, we give the green light.
And in case someone knocks on your door someday
And says,
this house is mine,
you're protected.
Title insurance minimizes the risk before you buy rather than after. Title professionals also work to protect you against wire transfer fraud and closing scams.
That's why we're exacting,
Obsessive.
dedicated,
Technical?
meticulous,
Methodical.
Precise. Because our name is on the line, the dotted line.
For the largest financial purchase of your life.
We're members in your community.
In every community all over America.
You'll see us speaking at town halls.
Coaching soccer.
Coaching Little League.
Volunteering.
And always at my favorite day, closing day.
While we have lots of titles, our #1 title.
Our #1 title is protection.
American Land Title Association. Our title is protection.
That was one of our award winners. The other thing I want to mention, the time I have left, is the Good Deeds Foundation that was started during the pandemic. I mean, let's face it, we have been busy and we have been blessed to have a robust economy for housing when not everybody was as lucky. So we came up with the Good Deeds Foundation. Mary O'Donnell's, this was her child, And what we did is we decided to see if we could get the industry to donate $250,000 and give money back to communities. And it's not giving money to large charities. It's not giving money to anything that's like a major. It's giving money back into the communities, especially small communities. That's where our roots are. That's where the title industry is amazing, because we represent the majority of our people that work in our industry work in small rural companies. The majority of our membership is in small rural companies. We have to remember that at all times. And so Good Deeds Foundation, we decided 250. We thought that was kind of shooting the moon, but if we got it, that would be great. We got that, then we go, 350? That's probably asking a bit much, but you know what? We've already hit 250. Then we went to 5. Then we went to 585. And we are continuing to get contributions this year. I know my company has contributed last year and this year, and we're founding members of Good Deeds. And we gave our first set of checks out a month and some ago. We gave out $125,000 to various organizations, and they're not big money organizations, but it's like we're 5,000, we're 10,000, we're 7,500, makes a difference, and that's what we're giving money to. And we have been absolutely blown away with the generosity of our industry, and our industry is willing to share, and it really has been wonderful. And some of the responses that we have received from the people who have got the money have been incredible. We got one from we had a small fire department in Texas, and we gave them $7,500, and they sent us a video back, and it was just unbelievable, super cool. And I kind of took that on my own accord to my personal life. Where I live in Southern California, you may have seen that Southern California has a little bit of a problem with wildfires. I've been evacuated 3 times in the last year and a half, including being evacuated during COVID, which was less than a lot of fun because there was no hotels open. And so the fire department, we got a group together, and we did something like this for our local fire station. And they came up and were really nice about it, and they couldn't believe that we did something like this. And we contributed to the couple restaurants so that they only have to go in, anytime any of them go in, just show their badge, and whatever they want is paid for. And the guy just goes, "I can't believe you guys did this." I said, "Yeah, but let's just face it. You saved my home. You get a year of pizza. We call it even." He just burst out laughing. It really was not a difficult decision. But these are the types of things that ALTA is doing right now, and I could not be more proud of what we're doing. And again, we're working, we're protecting privacy. The privacy right now, the Privacy Act rules are very difficult. We are working with 32 other trade organizations to get a standardized national policy. I think that we have a greater chance of landing on the moon than getting that done. But doesn't mean we're going to stop working, and we're trying it. So right now we're going to have California is probably going to be the dominant standard, and because California is the dominant standard, because it has extrajudicial language, which I'm not sure is constitutional, but we'll find that out soon enough. And so we're working to try to get some type of standard like Europe has a standard. If Europe can do it with all those countries, I can't believe we can't, but it's been very difficult being in those meetings, which were pre-COVID last year, or year before last.
As homeowners, we'll do whatever it takes to protect our homes. But did
One
you know
more
that
ad?
there are burglars who can rob your home even before it's yours? It's called real estate wire transfer fraud, but homeowners may call it something else.
Wire transfer fraud is the biggest single detriment going on right now in real estate transactions.
Take your life savings that you have worked so hard for, and it's just gone.
How do these cyber criminals get away with it? They start by hacking into unsecure email servers and searching for upcoming real estate closings. They pose as legit financial institutions and email unsuspecting homebuyers. Then the crooks send out bogus wire transfer instructions and wait for the money to be wired. So who's protecting homeowners from wire transfer fraud? Real estate title professionals are on the offense.
We mitigate wire transfer fraud actually reaching out to our clients on day one.
We educate buyers and sellers throughout the entire process and talk about how to protect themselves.
On what to look for. Getting the word out, it's informing your clients, it's informing the consumers, it's constantly retraining your employees, it's keeping it top of mind all the time.
Using advanced technology ensures that they are sending or we are receiving the wire from the right source.
We're doing our best to make sure wire transfer fraud doesn't happen to you.
So you can feel protected on the biggest financial purchase of your life. The American Land Title Association. Our title is protection.
There is a series of videos, by the way. These are just a couple, that are very downloadable, if that's a word. Is that a word? Is now. We have a series of videos to protect people against wire transfer fraud and have it. And we also have one that's been really well adopted, which is a 2-minute cartoon. And it has been downloaded, I can't even begin to tell you how many thousand times. Go on the ALTA website, download it, and you can put it on your email or to your first time you send something to a consumer. Just say, hey, look, watch out for this. And it's entertaining, and maybe they'll look at a 2-minute cartoon before they'll look at something that you write with big, bold letters that dissuades them. So that's on the ALTA website, and feel free to take it. And I've already done that one. Come on. It doesn't want to seem to go any further. That's okay. I think I've covered what I wanted to cover anyway. But any questions, comments? We're here as a resource for you. We have so many different things that we can help you with. Please go on to alta.org and see what's there. And if there's something there that you can use or want to use it. It's what it's there for. I mean, I can't tell you how many times someone has sent me the cartoon back on their emails. And there we go. Okay, we've already done that. We've done that. So, okay, I think we're good. But feel free to use it. We're here to help. We very much value our relationship with your organization. Again, as I said at the beginning, we really deem this as the gold standard of organizations. Not that I probably will say the same thing in Texas in 2 weeks, but or probably not. I don't know. But I'm very pleased to be here. And if there's anything that I can help you with, or I can point you in a direction, or I can help your business in any way, please let me know. That's what we're here to do. We're here to represent you. And if you have an opinion on something that we're working on, love to hear it. And I'm going to say this to this group, which I think is ridiculous. Don't be shy. So please feel free to come talk to me, and I'm more than happy to listen. And if there's something we can do to help, and there's something we can do to help your business grow, we're here to help your business grow, and we're here to be to have your business be as safe as possible and run as safely as possible and negotiate the landmines that are out there. And we did have an interesting time during the start of COVID. We started up a COVID desk, and we were tracking every single county in the country on what you could and could not do with COVID. Well, it wasn't, county by county tracking was not as big a deal in Oklahoma as other places. Pennsylvania was a nightmare. California was a nightmare. Only California could do, where it was county by county, and each one was quite a bit different. So we try to act as quickly as we possibly can, and if there's anything we can do to ever help, you only need to ask. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.